Yes, please. Over to you. Kyrgyz Republic, as far as I understand. Mr. President, my name is Tursun Gebahum. I represent a human rights advocacy group for Central Asia. I represent not just civil society in Kyrgyz Republic, but also in Central Asia. First, congratulations on holding this summit at a high level. Thank you. And just anyone on this planet, I do not envy your position as the Russian president, because this is a heavy burden which we are carrying with honor and dignity. Right now, the Western countries wanted to weaken Russia, but they have failed, and this is testified to by the BRICS summit, by the coming of UNSG Antonio Guterres and other international organizations. This year, Kazan is hosting historically important events. The multipolar world is emerging victorious. You have discussed difficult issues such as the Middle East. Despite the UN resolution, Israel flouts the resolutions. The UNSG has been declared persona non grata. There's been also a strike carried out by Israel. Right now, there are reports that Israel is preparing to bomb nuclear and energy facilities of Iran. So, my proposal is as follows. Shouldn't BRICS countries under the leadership of Russia should give a proper response to Western nations? Should they support Israel in a Western aggression against Iran and help Iran, Palestine and Lebanon, because only then will we be able to put an end to the impunity of the US in the Middle East. And another thing, right now the West is castigating and lambasting you, saying that President Putin refuses to engage in talks, but before that you put forth certain conditions and terms before the summit organized by Zelensky. What are your terms now? Have they remained unchanged? Thank you. Well, let's show some respect to others. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Our
your colleague has just asked us about our relations with Iran, about our willingness to provide assistance. Let me say the first thing with regard to the situation in the Middle East. I said that I think there is not a single person in the Middle East whose heart does not bleed when he or she sees what is happening in Gaza. More than 40,000 people died there, and most of them are women and children. So our assessment there is well known, and we have been saying for quite some time what the resolution of that is. The only way forward is to remove the root causes of this situation, and the main root cause is the absence of a fully fledged state of Palestine. All the UN Security Council decisions with that regard should be observed and implemented. We have to work with all the participants of the process to prevent at all costs the exacerbation and the expansion of the conflict. We should also work with Israel. We have to admit Israel has suffered a terrorist attack in October last year. So we have to go around that in a calm fashion. We have to analyze everything accurately, but we should not condone disproportionate responses to such terrorist attacks. That said, we have to work with everyone and seek a lower level of confrontation. We need to decrease it, and in Lebanon in particular, I think on the whole it's possible, but we have to be very cautious. Well, I'm afraid to say too much, because any ill-spoken word could harm the process. But on the whole, I would like to thank you for raising this issue, because it is of the utmost importance. Now, as for our talks with Ukraine, I said that on multiple occasions. We are grateful to the President of Turkey, President Erdogan, in the past. He provided us with a venue, with a platform for talks with the Ukrainian delegation in the course of that negotiating process. In late 2022, we arrived at a potential draft peace agreement. The Ukrainian delegation initialed that document, which means they were happy with that, but then they reneged on the deal, and then assistant to President Erdogan phoned from New York saying that there are new proposals. They asked us to consider them, and I gave my green light. I said yes, okay. On the following day, the head of the Kiev regime said that they were not going to engage in any talks with that, and we told Turkey, thank you for participating, but first you have to deal with your clients. Do they want that or they don't? Let them say that straight to us what they want. But as far as I understand from their parliament, another plan has been voiced, not about a peace, but about a victory. Now, as for victory, when they were trying to mount a so-called counteroffensive, they suffered losses of 16,000 people, if my memory serves me right, irrecoverable losses, and century losses as well. Over the recent months in the Kursk direction, they've suffered even more losses, 26,000 people, both irrecoverable and medical losses, and also heavy losses of weaponry and equipment. Last year, they lost 18,000 units of military equipment. Right now, 1,000 more. By 1,000 more, they've lost many tanks, maybe fewer tanks this time because they're using them less frequently. I'm not sure about these figures, but I think they are right. And of course, they have to look at the realities to see what's the situation on the ground. And given this situation on the ground, they have to sit at the negotiating table and engage in talks. But the leaders of the Kiev regime do not want that. I think to a certain extent this is due to the fact that the start of peaceful negotiations would require them to lift the martial law, which means that afterwards, right after that, they need to hold the presidential election, and right now the ball is in their court. Let's move to this section.